Hello and welcome back to the Headtime Rush YouTube channel, where today we are carrying on with our Planet Coaster 2 series, Adventure Isles. So this is episode 3. In the last episode we built the indoor log flume, which is very much like Valhalla at Blackpool. So if you haven't seen that episode, make sure you go and watch it before you watch this one. There's also the first episode where we built the entrance area, but now we are actually moving on to our first ever roller coaster. Now, this is actually the first time I built a roller coaster in Planet Coaster 2. I've not played around with this or anything. It's actually pretty simple. It's pretty much the same as Planet Coaster 1. There is a really good smoothing tool on this though, so you can get really smooth roller coasters. In the first game they were very janky. But yeah, we're basically building our first roller coaster. It's a dive coaster. So I actually really like dive coasters. They are one of my favourite coasters. I know a lot of people think they're really boring, and yes, they are a one-trick kind of pony, but the drops in them are just fantastic. So I've done Oblivion at Alton Towers, I've done Valkyria at Leesburg, I've done Shikra at Busch Gardens Tampa in America, and I've also done Oblivion the Black Hole at Gardaland in Italy. So I've done a good amount of them, and the drops are fantastic on them. Oblivion's definitely got the best drop, but obviously not much happens after that. So if I was going to compare this one that I'm building to one that I've ridden, it's probably Valkyria at Leesburg. And again, that's a similar theme as well. So you can see here I'm building the layout. I've done it in ×2 speed, so it's not as fast as when we're theming things up. But we've got this first inversion here, which most dive coasters have these. And then I want it to go into a sort of like overbank. And then I wanted it to then go into another inversion. You'll see how I do it, but at first I wasn't happy with the layout. So this does all change eventually. But also the game have just there's just been an update where we can now put custom supports in. So I do go back in this episode as well, and you can see me putting the supports in, because these supports aren't very realistic that come with the game. There's too many of them. If you look at real life coasters, especially dive coasters, the hills will have 2 or 3, and there'll be massive supports, like really beefy supports to hold up that that heavy structure, and then the rest of it they'll have a lot thinner than the actual ones on the drop and the lift hill. So yeah, you'll see me go back and do that. But yeah, I want it to fit into this area. So we've got to the right there, we've got the exit to the log flume, which is going to be which is a gift shop basically. There's some toilets up there as well, and then you come down into this area, which is the main area, and the whole area kind of wraps around this roller coaster. So you got this big, massive roller coaster, and then around it you got we put 2 flat rides in. So we've got 2 flat rides going in this episode as well, and then there's a big restaurant area as well. So this is the main hub of this area. But you can see here, I'm putting in this. I kind of wanted some airtime on this, because Oblivion the Black Hole, that's got a really good pop of airtime on it, which I really enjoy, so I kind of wanted something like that. But this doesn't look right, especially being underneath that other piece of track as well. It just didn't look right to me, so I do go back and change all this. But to be fair, considering this is my first time building a roller coaster on this game, I'm pretty happy with the final product as well. And then obviously the theming that I put around it, I'm really happy with as well. And we're obviously trying to make it realistic as well. So I do a big backstage area, transfer track, all that stuff as well. I don't know if I actually recorded that. I don't know if I did it off camera or not. We'll find out soon. Because yeah, I've recorded all this. I've sped it up, and now I'm here doing a voiceover on it. So if you guys wondered how I did it, that's how I do it. So yeah, I'm kind of just watching the screen and seeing what I'm doing myself, and this inversion is lethal, so this doesn't stay. But again, this inversion it kind of goes off the one on Valkyria towards the end. There is this really cool barrel roll over the water, which I did want to put in, but you can see it doesn't fit very well with this layout. And then yeah, tried to move some other bits. This turnaround stays. It's slightly different on the second one that I do, well, when I delete some of the parts and stuff. And another thing I really struggled with was the brakes as well. I don't really understand how the brakes work, like the whole like the speed that it hits and stuff like that. Like they were hitting the brakes at such a high speed, and the brakes just didn't seem to be working. And then I tried increasing it and decreasing it to see if that would work. I couldn't get it working. Eventually, I've managed to get it sorted, because obviously I want it to be realistic, and the brakes need to be fully working and fully realistic. So that's something I did struggle with. Again, it's pretty similar to Planet Coaster 1, but you can see that this inversion here with this airtime, it doesn't look right. I'm here smoothing it out, thinking that I'm going to keep it like that. But I didn't want this ride to take up too much space as well, so that's another reason why I kind of went with this layout to start with, because I didn't want it to take up too much space, because I knew I needed to build the rest of the land around this. And there's going to be a lot of themed areas in this park, so I didn't want to overdo it with this massive ride and taking up too much space, because then I wouldn't have enough room to build these other lands. So yeah, you can see here, POV, it is sped up ×2, so it will be a little bit fast. It isn't this fast in person. But I'm happy with the height. I think it is 150 foot. And this all stays, so you get a fantastic view over there of the lake and the entrance area. Then obviously the drop. The drops aren't very realistic when you look at B&M drops. They're a bit more gradual than that. And I don't like the holding brake on these. They take up far too much room. But yeah, that's the bit that I ended up getting rid of. And you can see there it's really, really janky, that final inversion. So yeah, I kind of look at it and go, yeah, I'm getting rid of that. So yeah, you can see me editing there. It's quite hard to get used to the editing. Oh no, actually, am I smoothing it? No, I am. I'm trying to reconnect it and trying to get it a bit smoother. So I haven't actually deleted this yet. I don't know why I was thinking I'm going to keep this, because I ended up getting rid of it, but I don't know why I was thinking this is a good layout. Again, the layout that I've gone for is a lot more realistic than this. But while I'm building this, we'll go back to what I'm going to be building as well. So this is the Viking area. Obviously, all we've got left to do on this after this episode is the RMC coaster, which I'm really excited for, because there's lots you can do with an RMC. I think the next area after this, we're going to do a Western America 1800s, not like desert Western, it's more like a forest with a nice little town street with like a saloon. There's going to be the two main rides in that. I'm going to have a Vekoma Looper, a bit like Let Coaster in Poland, and then there's going to be a mine train up in the mountains, really well themed, and then obviously rapids. You can't have a western area without rapids. There's going to be a nice rapids ride going around the area, and then probably I like to have at least 2 flat rides just to support the rides. And then the other areas I want is a China area with a hyper and an invert, a Greek. So obviously we've got a Greek mythology theming. So I'm going to have a nice water coaster in there and an intimate multi-dimension coaster as well. So they're going to be the main rides in that, as well as a few flat rides as well. And then this area, which I'm really excited for doing, is a Greek, not a Greek, sorry, we just talked about that, a Roman area. So this Roman area, think Gladiator, there's going to be a wooden roller coaster, there's going to be a spinning coaster. I'm really excited because obviously that theme isn't in the actual game, so I'm going to have to use different parts and just try and get it looking as good as possible, basically. And then we've got medieval. It's going to be medieval Germany, this area. So the inspiration is Phantasialand, but it's going to have a launch coaster, a bit like Taron, and that's going to be based in this castle grounds. Lots of castle turrets and stuff that you're weaving in and out around, and then you got the village side as well, wrapping just around the front of this castle area, which will probably have a dark ride. And I'm thinking of, I wanted to add like a family ride, so I'm thinking maybe like a family suspended coaster. Think about Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, what they're putting in, the new Big Bad Wolf ride, something like that. Is it B&M? I think it's B&M in like family invert. So something like that would be really good. And then I want a Caribbean area, which is based on like pirates. Again, we haven't got that theme set in there, so we'll have to do that. And then a Swiss area, think Europa Park, that sort of thing, with a wild mouse and a few other rides as well, and then back to the entrance. So I'm not sure what areas like whereabouts in the part these areas are going to be. The other thing, I'm just going to kind of do one at a time. So obviously I know I'm doing the Viking one now. Next one's going to be this western area, and then we'll take it from there. But yeah, you can see here in the video, we have completely changed the layout, and I love the two inversions now. I think it looks fantastic. They're right next to each other right there. It looks a lot more realistic. You do get rides like this that they look more compact, and this definitely does. You can see I'm just messing around with the brakes, because obviously you need a decent brake network for it to be able to do the block sections and stuff like that, and run multiple trains. And sometimes with these roller coasters you get a mid-course brake run, but obviously with it being such a short layout, I didn't really feel like I needed to put a mid-course. Normally you have the mid-course before. Some rides like these have like another mini drop, and just before the mini drop they'll have brakes just to make sure you're going down it at the right speed, and that will be a block section. So yeah, this ride doesn't have that, so I didn't feel like I needed to put a mid-course brake run in. But yeah, I love how these two inversions look. I think this is fantastic. We end up putting a bridge across these, and these are two loops basically. These are the focal point of the area, because the whole path network runs around that. So yeah, POV here. Let's have a look how this one looks. Again, times 2, so it is running a bit faster than it would. At the end of this video, I will put in a proper POV of the finished article as well, so you'll be able to see the final version of it. But we've got first drop, really nice. This is going to be a tunnel with a bridge going over it. Really nice. You can just see how smooth it is as well. I think there's a few janks after this one. You can see there it kind of banks outwards. I need to go back and sort that out. And there as well needs a bit of sorting out. But yeah, really happy with that. That's basically the final layout. I do go back and do some smoothing as well. And you can see here I'm trying to sort out these brakes. You hit the brakes at quite some speed really. But I'm loving this smooth tool. It is fantastic. You can set the strength of it as well. So if you've got just a little bit that you just need to tweak, you can have it quite weak and you can just press it a few times. Or you can have it really strong and it'll just smooth out any sort of banking or anything like that. Here I'm just moving it into place because obviously I want it to be not too close to the log flume building there on the right, but I want it to be in a decent position where we can start building this area around. Now, this is one of the first flat rides we're putting in. It is the 360, don't know what it's called, 360 something. There's a few of these. There's one at Leeseyburg, so that's kind of why I went with this. But I think these are fantastic. I really do enjoy them. Really fun, quite thrilling, and they're fantastic to look at as well. So back to the coaster, we are finally building the station building. So again, the thought behind this and the inspiration behind this is Valkyrie at Leeseyburg. It's this sort of Viking, what do you call them, longhouse or something like that. So it's got lots of different layers. You can see here I'm moving that, so you got a smaller bit and then it goes smaller and smaller. And then the roof's going to have lots of different sizes basically. So you'll have the main roof and then you'll have a smaller roof coming off that. It's quite hard to explain, but you'll see as I start building it. But I do love this separate tool where you can separate it from the rest of the building and then put it into how you want it. It just means I get this effect of it having staggered sizing basically. So you got the big main bit at the back, and then a smaller bit in the middle, and then a smaller bit at the front. And then obviously when I get the roofs on and everything like that, it will look fantastic. Again, I just kind of had a picture up on my phone of the Valkyrie station. I kind of just went with a carbon copy of it really. Yeah, I don't really want to copy things, but you do need inspiration sometimes. And it's not 100%. I've not copied every single detail. I've just kind of copied the building itself, but all the decorating and everything like that is all my own work. So we all need inspiration sometimes. So yeah, I don't feel as bad for copying. But yeah, path now, queue line. I'm really struggling with this new queue line system. I find it really difficult. When it works really well. I like how it connects it all and makes it all one. That works really well. Another thing as well, guys, and I've tried Googling this, how do you get rid of the railings on queue lines? Because in the first game, there was an option for that, and you could literally turn it on and off in the options, but I can't seem to see that. So if you know how you can get rid of the railings, because obviously I don't like using the generic railings in the game, I like putting my own in. I just think it looks better. But yeah, if you know, guys, let me know down below. I'll really appreciate that, because I could go back and sort that, because yeah, that's something that I would like to be able to do. But yeah, here just started to put these pieces in to make the roof look more whole and stuff like that. Copy and paste it over as you do, and then it does start coming together. The thing I love with Planet Coaster is you can start building something. Like I said in the other episode, I like building the shells of buildings, leaving them and then coming back to theme them. I just like having the shell there just so I know the basic look of it all, just so I can get an idea of it. But you can see here, it's just walls on a roof. But as soon as I start going in with the decorating, the wooden beams and all that sort of stuff, all the theme inside of it, it just comes together so good. And you're like, it's finally come together. This is how I want it to look. I'm really happy with it. And there's a few times you look at it and just like, it's not working. But you just need to be patient with this game. That's the main thing. If I was going to give a tip to anyone on how to be decent at Planet Coaster, it's just patience and practice. There'll be times where you're looking at it and you're like, yeah, this looks awful. But yeah, just stick with it. Just stick with it. Keep doing what you're doing. Sometimes it is good to go away and do another thing and then come back to it. That's one thing that I've learned over the years of playing the first game, is I can't stick to doing one thing. Like, you look at this, I've just put in that flat ride, but I've come over here and started doing this. But then I'll go back to the flat ride and start theming that up. It's just sometimes I like to just break it up. I get it done eventually, so it's not really the end of the world. I do go back and get it all done, so it doesn't matter what kind of order I do it in, as long as I get it done. So yeah, but that for me, that's just something I enjoy doing, just to break it up. But yeah, we're going to put this path in now. Again, I really struggled with this. Don't know why. It just kept going underground. And I didn't want steps either, because obviously, with it being a realistic park, you need to think about disabled guests. Obviously, we don't have lifts in this game. I could maybe make a fake lift to put in. But I wanted it to be more of a ramp than stairs, just for the disabled guests, just so it's easier for them. And then another path down this side, which I really like. So you've got these two paths that go down into this main area, and then you've got this flat ride in the middle, which I really like. It means you get some really good views of the flat ride whilst it's swinging, because it does swing right over these two paths. So I really like the idea of that, and that's what I was going for, and that's what I ended up doing, and I was really happy with the final product. But yeah, you can see I'm going to start putting in the main path in this area with the bridge over them two inversions as well. And this whole, it is crazy how this whole area does transform into something completely different. Because here I don't know, I can't even envision what it looks like now. I'll have to go back and have a look what it finally finished like, because it's crazy. And then I was going to have it a higher elevation, but you can see there the flat ride kind of hits into it. So I have to go back. Oh, this honestly took so long. I could really do with it. I should have really just like kind of edited this out, but I wanted you guys just to see how difficult this path can be sometimes. But I do love that draw tool. That draw tool makes it all better. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. At least we got that in the game. That's one good thing they got right with this game. But yeah, putting the pathway over, obviously needed to make sure it was realistic. There was enough clearing. You weren't going to bang your head when you're on the ride. But this whole area here, I do end up building a pit. Think of the Smiler's pit. It's very much like that. But then I'll theme it up. The bridge that I've just put in, that all gets themed up really nicely. Nice wooden bridge. And then next to this path is where the train station is going to be for this area. Because I want every area in the park to have its own station, basically. So if you want to go from the English entrance area to the Wild West area, it's got its own station. You don't have to get off into a different area and then walk there. I want it to be so you get off in different stops into a different country, different themed area. I just like the idea of that. So that's something I really want to do. So this train is going to go right around the park, into each area, different themed stations. And yeah, I'm really happy with how the station building goes with that. I think I do that off camera though. Again, it's not a major build, so I didn't feel like I needed to do it. But here I'm just building. Could have really done with just using the terrain tool just to make it a bit rocky around here. But I ended up going with these kind of like brick walls, just making it right round like this. Again, when I'm trying to turn it this way, like you just saw then, you have to completely do it, and you can see there. In fact, it doesn't look very straight there. But yeah, it's quite hard to get it straight, and you have to realign it every time you want it to do it. But again, I think it does look good. Like, yeah, I could have done the terrain or even rocks and stuff like that. But I think this way just gives it an extra dimension. And I do go back and do add a few little rocks and then lots of trees, bushes, and it does all come together. But again, this is just like the foundation. Again, you need to be patient with this game. That's the main thing. That's my main tip. Just be patient. It will come together. You do need to go back. You do need to put a bit of time into it. But yeah, it will work. So here you can see I put this queue line in for the flat ride. I was a bit concerned. I didn't really know where this queue was gonna go, and I just thought, I might as well just put it underneath there and have it themed up into like into like a sort of building. So I did that, and then I thought, because this originally was just gonna be an open path, I just thought the other path's open, so why don't we do some sort of tunnel? Indoor building area, so that's kind of what I go for here. And this is probably my favourite part of the area. You'll see when it's done. But putting in flooring in the queue line again, I want it to be realistic. Like back in the Planet Coaster 1 days, I wouldn't have bothered doing this. I would have just had it as grass, but obviously that's not realistic. I do think I need to go back under there and just theme it up a bit, because it is just the walls, the roof, the floor. I could do with a few like theming. The good thing with the Viking pack, you get there's so many things. I can even put like, you just put shields on the walls and like that, and it'll just make it look so much better. There's so much you can do. So yeah, I will go back and do that. But at the moment, things like that, and I won't record that. Things like that I can just do in my own time. It's not really that important. But then I had to try and find a way to fill this gap between the side. Again, normally in Planet Coaster 1, I wouldn't cover the whole path with this, but I just thought it looked really good with it being all wooden like that. So, again, it's just copy and pasting it. You have to have a little play around with getting the angles right, just to make sure it all fits and stuff. But I was really, really happy with this. I thought it looked really, really good. Again, it's different, like the other side, you just got a normal path. I didn't want it just to be the same. And obviously this blocks out it kind of blocks in the area and blocks out the outside world of this area, if that makes sense. So I do put a few windows in that wall you can see there on the left hand side. So if you wanted to, you can see how close the ride gets to it. So just near them seats, I do put some windows in so you can look out at this ride like swinging past it, which I really, really like. It is fantastic. And the thing I love about this game as well is the fact you can go in first person mode. So when I've completed this full area with the RMC, all the shops and stuff, so it'll probably be next video, we'll do the RMC, and then at the end of it, we'll do a full area tour where I go in that first person mode. We'll walk around the area, go in all the different shops, and you'll be able to go in this tunnel as you would if it was a real theme park, which I really, really like. I think that's a really good feature to put in. I think you could do that in Planet Coaster 1, but I don't think it was that easy. I think you had to... Did you have to like rename a character Cam or something like that to get, and then you're in their point of view? I'm not sure. There was a way around to it, but this one there's literally just a setting down in the bottom corner where you can change the camera into first person. And then here I'm just trying to figure up this entrance. Well, to be fair, this isn't actually the entrance to the land, because there is a mini area near the log flume. By the way, we have a name for the log flume. It is going to be called, let me just get it up. So yeah, throughout the series I want you guys to name the rides and stuff for me, because in a way I'm pretty good at doing stuff like that, but I want it to be a community effort. So I want you guys to be able to come up with names. So I want to say thank you to Mr. Noodle 737. You give me a big list of different ones, but the one I like is the Ragnarok River Rush. So that's what it's going to be called. So the main title is Ragnarok, and then underneath I'll have in small letters River Rush. A bit like Valhalla, it's got Valhalla, and then underneath it's got Brave the Adventure. So yeah, thank you so much for that name. Really, really like that. We need a name for the dive coaster as well, and we need a name for this flat ride, which here you can see I'm theming up, which is something that I absolutely love about this game. It is fantastic. In the first game, they themed up a lot of the rides, which meant you couldn't use them in like certain areas and stuff like this. But in this game, they're the blank canvases, and you can go in and you can attach theme into them, which for me is fantastic. I love it, and this was my first proper go at doing that. So I wanted to just test it as well. So you see in a minute, I will test it just to make sure. I was thinking, is this actually going to stick to it and actually swing around with it? But it does, and it is brilliant. But yeah, I'm just putting in these big like wooden cogs just to hide all the mechanical bits, which is, again, that's what they do with a lot of these things. You can get some really heavily themed flat rides. It's like the one that's going into Alton Towers, the new Top Spin. That looks like it's going to be heavily themed. But yeah, with this, you can put anything on it. You can just put a load of shields on it. And then I like what I've done with this top bit. I've put this big rock on it, so it's like that's what's powering it. And then with the resize option, it just makes it so easy to fit things into certain areas. So this big column here, which is the main support of the ride, I could just resize these big logs and just get them perfectly in position, which is fantastic. With the first game, you won't be able to do that at all. Even if you could theme up the rides, it'll be really difficult. Again, I had to try and cover up this bit because I couldn't get it to cover up that. So I just thought, yeah, just put a few of these spiky logs in all the way up. I didn't want to hide the ladder because obviously I want it to be a realistic build, and the ladder is what would be on the ride. And if I hid that ladder, I'd have to then go in and build my own custom ladder. So I just thought, yeah, I'll try and keep that as much as possible. And then, yeah, just copy it. I think do I go with these? I don't know if I go with these, because I think the bottom is a bit too wide, so it ended up looking a bit weird. I don't know if I end up switching them. Or do I copy and paste it over? Yeah, you can see that. I just deleted it. There you go. I just went with a single big one. Got it in place. But how much better does that look? How cool? Honestly, I'm blown away with just how good that looks. A few pieces, and you can make it themed into whatever area you want it to. And yeah, I think that looks absolutely fantastic. Again, we need a name for this, guys. You see me there testing it for the first time. Oh, I love it. I think that's fantastic. I really do like it. Oh, little POV there, sped up. But yeah, we need a name for that ride. So if you guys can think anything Viking themed, that'll be fantastic. But here is our first proper go at custom supporting. It's not something I did that often in Planet Coaster 1. I know we had all the parts, and to be fair, I don't know why they didn't add this in with the game to start with. Like, again, it's only just they will have just added this. Again, it should have been here from the start, but at least they've listened and they've added it. But you can see the support I'm putting in here, it's really bulky, which you would find on these dive coasters. The supports are very bulky on the lift hill, and that's just because they want less of them. But obviously, you need to imagine the weight in that lift hill. Yeah, the massive, these supports, honestly, the massive. All you need to do is look at Oblivion. Oblivion's got a really, really big support system on it. But again, modern coasters, the supports, they're a lot better. Like, they can have a lot less. It's like, what roller coaster? There's one in America. Oh, Fury 325, is it? And the whole lift hill for that, like, there's a whole section at the top of it which doesn't have any supports, and that's just because the size of the two main ones it's got before that, it just means it can hold up the whole ride. And then obviously it's physics for the rest of it. It can hold up itself. But yeah, if you look at the older dive coasters, they will have probably a few more supports than the modern ones. Obviously, nowadays the technology has come so far with these roller coasters that they know. I don't know. They're a lot more technological with building rides now. They've come a lot. Roller coasters have come such a long way over the past few years. But there's only so much they can do with roller coasters now. Like, yeah, the 2000 roller coasters, that was the main one. That's where they're pushing the boundaries of the tallest, the fastest. But then look now, we've got this new tallest roller coaster opening next year in Saudi, and that looks absolutely incredible. What is it? 600 foot, I think. Tallest, fastest. It just looks incredible. But here you can see I actually ended up putting the wrong support in there because, yeah, and then I kind of like lay out a load of different ones just to make sure. But yeah, the rest of the layout doesn't need them big thick ones. Again, I've done quite a lot of research in this. And Liseberg's dive coaster as well. That's kind of the inspiration I got. Just kind of looked at what their supports look like, and that's how I got the idea for this. The only thing with the custom supporting that I'm struggling with is where it attaches to the actual track. It looks a bit rubbish, and I don't really know how you're meant to, like, is there a part that, like a sort of flange that you can put in to make it look a bit more realistic? I need to do a bit more research on that, because actually on real coasters I don't actually know what it's supposed to look like. And then obviously you got the little, obviously a big support like this, it wouldn't be one piece, it'll be lots of, like, it'll probably, so for example, this piece I'm putting here, in real life, this would be split into 3 pieces, and then the 3 pieces would then be bolted together, and you'll have like a little ring around it with holes in it where the bolts go through. I need to add them to it, so I will get round to adding them. And I do also add the footers as well. That's something that I don't know if I record myself doing that, but yeah, I do go around and add all the footers. But with this support that I just put in, I really like it because it meant I could support 2 pieces of track with the same piece, which you do see a lot. You don't see it as much with B&M coasters. They're quite simple, the B&M supports, but if you look on like Intamins and Max, some of the support structures on some of these rides, well, look at Hyperion at Fort Park. The support structure on that is mad. It's honestly so complex, but it's all there for the right reasons. Each piece is there because it needs it, but it's just so clever how they do it, because it just means that one, especially with Hyperion, it's just one massive support that supports all the ride, instead of having like one support for the drop, one support for the inversions, one support for the, it's literally one big support to support it all. So just me then getting that one support to do 2 pieces of tracks, I felt like I was a professional. I was like, yes, I can get a job in this. But yeah, you can see putting in this pit, this is the area I was on about before. It's a bit like the Smilers pit, but this won't be flooded like the Smilers pit, because that is always flooded. They need to sort that out on towers. So yeah, just putting a wall in. Again, it needs to be as realistic as possible. So just before I started filming, there's a little prop. It's like it's in the Greek theming, and it's a little frozen man. I think he's like been turned to stone by Medusa, and you can put him in, and that's the size of the guests. So I put him in, and then I built this wall here, and I could see basically that it was the right size for him not to climb. Like, I know that in the game they don't climb over, but I want it to be realistic. I want to make sure the fence is high enough that people wouldn't be tempted to climb into the ride area. But it's one of them, if you're going to climb into the ride area, then that's on you, isn't it? Like, if you're going to be an idiot, then, you know, why do I need to put all this fence up when... But yeah, again, I wanted to be realistic, so that's why I did it. Again, supporting. Again, doesn't have to be anything fancy for this. This is where most of the G-force will be at the bottom of the hill, so this would be where there's a few more supports, because obviously that piece of track, it'll have the force of the train, and some of the carriages on the, like, it's like Oblivion's, just one of them shuttles weighs the same as like an elephant or something like that. I think I read somewhere. They're massive. They're so heavy, and you can imagine just at the bottom of Oblivion's drop just how much force is going through there. So obviously it needs to be reinforced. It needs to have the right support structure. So that's kind of what I was doing there. Here, this is the final flat ride that I'm putting in the area. I thought we've got a dive coaster, which is very thrilling. We're going to have an RMC, which is really thrilling. We've got an upside down flat ride, which is really thrilling. And then we've got an indoor log flume, which is pretty thrilling as well. And pretty scary. So I just thought we need a family ride, so I put this in. Normally there's a canopy that comes over it, but I've disabled that because I didn't want that. I didn't think it'll fit in with the area. But again, I just love how you can theme things up. This is fantastic. I think it's a fantastic part of the game where you can just theme things up. To be fair, you could do things like this, what I'm doing in the other game, but you couldn't attach, like you can see I put all these little shields on. You wouldn't be able to do that in the other game. So I was really, really happy with that. But anyway, guys, we're coming towards the end of the video now. I need a name for this, so if you guys could think of a name, I think I put some sort of sail in the middle, so anything towards that theme, I don't know. You guys are really good at coming up with names, so if you can think of anything, I'll really, really appreciate it. But this sail, I actually had a few issues with this, because because I attached it to the ride, it would rotate with the ride, and I didn't want that. You can see here, I wanted it to be still, so I had to kind of like deselect it, but then reposition it. But I do actually end up going with there's a closed version of this, so I end up deleting that and putting in the closed sail, which kind of works better. But yeah, you can see here, I kind of position it off ride, and then I put it in so it isn't actually attached to it, so that doesn't spin. You can see there, just checking it, make sure it works. But yeah, I'm really happy with how that looks. Again, I do go back and do a bit more theming. But yeah, need a name for it, guys, so make sure you do that. Need a name for the dive coaster and the other thrill ride as well. So you guys comment down below, and if you get picked, obviously I'll give you a shout out. And then next episode we're doing the RMC, so I'm really excited for that. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that one. Again, need a name for that one. Viking themed. Again, pretty straightforward. There's not really much to it, just all Viking themed. So whatever you guys can think of for a name, I can then theme the RMC around it. So yeah, get your suggestions in for names for that, as well as the rides mentioned in this episode as well. And yeah, I'm just finishing off doing a few more supports and foundation work. You see here, I'm just making sure this one clears that final bit. I didn't want you to be able to bang your head on it. Trying to keep it as realistic as possible. And I do go back and add in all like the catwalks towards the end as well. But anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you here. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to put a POV in of the dive coaster. I will also do like a cinematic version of it as well, so there's going to be one like POV and one cinematic, so you see like the full layout and stuff. And I'll see you all in the next video, where we're going to be building this brand new RMC. Really excited for it. So if you're new around here, please subscribe, enjoy the POV, and I'll see you in the next video.